Welcome friends of the Orange County Library Systems. This is Yamira Lee Johnson for the Cuisine Corner program, and we are continuing our celebration of the Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'm going to share with you a very popular recipe, which is churros. And this is a flour, it's kind of like a donut-like fritter covered with cinnamon and sugar. And I'm gonna show you all the steps and all the ingredients that you need. So for this recipe of churros, you're going to need eggs, salt, vanilla, oil, water, sugar and cinnamon mix, or if you prefer just sugar. We're going to need flour, butter, and you want to have a piping bag with, this is a large flour tip. Okay, to start our churros recipe, you want to put 1 cup of water. You're gonna add 3 tablespoons of butter, and usually the original recipe will call for 6, but I'm gonna do 3 and then substitute the other 3 with oil. I found that it makes the churros a little bit more tender inside if you mix water and if you mix the butter and the oil. So I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons, and I'm using avocado oil, adding some antioxidants to my recipe. And avocado oil doesn't have any distinctive flavor, so it's not gonna change the recipe. So we're gonna let this boil. I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of sugar. I'll let that sugar melt, come to a boil. Now once you start seeing those bubbles come up, we're gonna add 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. If you like the vanilla flavor, you're welcome to add a little bit more. It's just gonna make it more flavorful. And once it comes to a boil, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon pink Himalayan salt. And don't worry, the salt is not going to make them salty. It's actually going to kind of enhance and bring all the flavors together. Give it a stir so it mixes in. And once it's boiling, we're going to sift 1 cup of flour. We do this so it doesn't clump up when we start mixing it. And turn the heat off, and then start mixing our flour. It's gonna look wet, but trust the process. It's going to come together. And once you know when it starts coming off of the edges and coming together, but you wanna keep mixing it. Remove from the heat. See how it's coming together? Make sure you get any clumps in there. This dough is really easy to make, and it doesn't take a long time. Once you get all of the flour integrated with the salt, the vanilla, the sugar, in the water, now we're going to, and the oil and butter, now we're going to break 2 eggs, and we're going to integrate those eggs slowly into the mix. And again, it's gonna look wet for a moment, but keep mixing, don't stop. And that flour mix is going to start receiving that egg and making a nice soft dough. In the meantime, I have the oil heating so we can be ready to fry them, to fry our churros. You want your temperature to be at 375, but I like heating my oil slowly. So I turn the stove on to medium, and it's covered, and the oil is coming to temperature. That is what the texture that you want when it comes all together. There's no clumps, and you could actually pick it up and it's completely dry. Now you could let these rest for about 10 minutes, but it's not necessary. They will be fine if you start your churros like this. We're just gonna let it rest for a minute while we clean up and get our oil together. Okay, so our churro dough is ready. It has rested for a few minutes, so now I'm going to pipe it. I have this pipe ready again with our tip. I haven't cut it because I don't want the churro to come up yet. So I'm going to fill it first and then we'll cut the tip and start our churros, frying our churros. Go ahead and fill your piping bag. And there you have it. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and fry these churros. Once you have your churro dough in your piping bag, you can pretty much make different shapes, different lengths. For this purpose, I'm going to make mini churros, but you can make them longer if you like, and then just press, and as they come out, cut. That's what you wanna hear. You wanna hear that little sound when you are piping them, because that tells you that the oil it's on the right temperature. If you want to make hearts or want to make them round, just pipe them onto a parchment paper. Do the shape that you like and let them cool off in the refrigerator for a few minutes. Even freeze them. And then you could go ahead and fry them. Now when they're gonna go all the way to the bottom. You know when they're ready to be flipped, when they float and they start turning nice, a dark honey color. They still haven't come up. I'm gonna just mix them a little bit just so they don't stick together. And again, this recipe, this dough is gonna be a little bit more tender in the center. If you want them to be harder or crunchier, just fry them longer or add 1 egg. They're starting to float. Just move them slightly so they don't stick together, but they pretty much will let you know when they're ready to be turned. In the meantime, I have 2 cups of sugar and 3 tablespoons of cinnamon mixed together. Once they come out, they're gonna go directly into the cinnamon sugar. I'm also preparing a cooling rack to let my churros sit for a little bit. Once they're ready and come out of the sugar, see how they're coming on the floating? Now you could start turning them a little bit. The frying oil will be your oil of choice, whether it's avocado, sunflower, peanut oil. Just try to add enough oil to your pot where they float. And you want to cook them in small batches so they get space to float and get all the oil around them. You don't want to overcrowd your frying pot, definitely. And they will fry about 4 to 5 minutes. They should be done and ready. See how they start? The moment they start turning and staying on that side, that means that the side is done. Churros can also be stuffed with, once they're cooked and have cooled down, you could stuff them with a injector with Nutella or vanilla cream, chocolate. I like them simple with some cinnamon and sugar. And then maybe a hot chocolate with it, or a dipping sauce, a dipping chocolate. Nice and golden. That's what you want right there. Now when you take them out, you want to scoop them, top them slightly, make sure all the excess oil is coming out. The drier, the better. Beautiful. And place them in your sugar, cinnamon sugar, or plain sugar if you prefer, and give them a slight toast. You do it while it's hot so the sugar sticks. Mix them a little bit more. And then we're gonna place them on the cooling rack. Let's go ahead and start our hot chocolate process. I'm gonna heat 1 cup of oat milk. You could also use evaporated milk or heavy whipping cream if you want the milk to be thicker. Then we have chocolate Cortes, which is a dark chocolate. And this is the chocolate that my grandmother used to use for our hot chocolate. This is what it looks like when you open it. So for this amount, I could use 1 bar. Right there. But I'm not going to add it whole. I'm actually going to grate it. That will help the chocolate dissolve faster. And of course, you can grate this ahead of time and then just dump it. Half a bar for 1 cup. To this, I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. Salt actually enhances the flavor of chocolate. A teaspoon of vanilla and a pinch of organic sugar. Welcome back, and now you have here, I've shown you how to make the churro dough, how to fry it and dip it in the cinnamon sugar, and then we made some dark chocolate to go with them in these little cups. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe and that you make it at home. And for more Hispanic Heritage Celebration recipes, go to OCLS.info. Thank you for joining us.